A lot of men can fix the problems in their relationships if they address their own needy behavior. Now, I know this is a topic that I talk a lot about here at this channel, neediness. And the reason why I keep bringing it up is because it's a bigger topic than I think a lot of men realize. And maybe it's not for all men, but I've noticed that for a lot of men who reach out to me for advice, men who follow me on my Instagram page, which if you aren't already, I have two of them. One of them is at Miami Vice Life. The second one is at the Sophisticated Scoundrel. The Miami Vice Life one is built up of content from obviously the TV show Miami Vice with all of my original writing. The second one is my own original videos, photos, and writing for more of a personal approach directly from myself. So definitely check them both out. Both of them are contained in my teachings with my coaching, which thus far a lot of men have been able to use to improve their dating life. But getting back to this topic of neediness, most of the guys, not most, but I'm trying to think, I'd say over half of the men that I work with, something is going sideways because of their needy behavior that they're exhibiting. And here's the crazy part. A lot of the guys don't see themselves as needy. And maybe you're one of those guys who don't see it either. And so what I want to explain today is where neediness comes from. So I've written a couple of things down here, okay? So needy behavior comes from this nagging feeling, most likely within you, that wants to ease the discomfort of being with yourself. Now, this sounds pretty deep and philosophical, but ultimately, this is kind of what it is. There's an uneasiness, there's discomfort that a lot of men have by just being alone. It's like the voices, the thoughts start bubbling up, they start hearing things. And I don't mean in a crazy schizophrenic way. I just mean like when you're by yourself, you have not much else to do than think thoughts. So a lot of what we do is distract ourselves. Guys who don't like to sit by themselves are distracting themselves by constantly being busy, by going out and doing stuff, and a lot of the times by interacting with women. It could be serial dating, just girl after girl after girl after girl of just flings, hookups, things like that. Or it could be getting into a long-term relationship that they can focus externally so they don't have to think about themselves and whatever pain or trauma they may have. And this doesn't even mean some huge trauma, but just it can be very simple discomfort that a lot of guys just simply don't want to sit with, okay? So why does this discomfort exist in the first place? Okay, now again, I'm speaking from even my own experience, but from the men that I coach, there's a feeling, there's a lack, okay? There's a lack of not having a certain emotion that we never got and that we want to have. A lot of the times it is love, acceptance, affection, respect. We want these feelings because unfortunately there are a lot of guys who didn't grow up getting those things. I see it most often in homes where it's a very domineering mother. Okay. It's like the mom treated them like a little kid their entire life, and even as an adult. The mother's very controlling, and therefore the father is more of a guy who kind of steps back. He's not the leader of the household. So their mom has basically been a helicopter parent for their entire life. And so when it gets to a relationship, a lot of these guys mimic those same behaviors with the women that they're with. And they incessantly want this affirmation, this feeling like that woman, they just like put all of their feelings of emptiness onto that woman, hoping that she can fill them up. And that just basically comes across as needy. They don't feel that they're good enough. Okay, so like at the beginning of an interaction, they'll be over texting too much, or they'll be being the nice guy, or pleasing them too much, or spending too much money on dates. They don't feel comfortable just as presenting themselves as they are as a man. They are spending a lot of money in hopes that that will be almost like a camouflage, like, hey, don't really look at me. Let's just look at this fun time I'm creating for you. Okay. They'll do things like that. Or they'll text a lot to make sure that she doesn't lose interest. Like they can't stand the fact that if they don't keep her busy, if they don't constantly entertain her and be messaging her, that she's going to somehow drift away. Now, that's a self-limiting belief that that man has. Okay. And I will say this, because this is the tricky part of this, and I want you guys to pay attention to. You don't really know your neediness level until you get involved with a woman. Because a lot of you guys really aren't needy in your day-to-day behavior. Like you're killing it at work. Maybe you're even like at work, you're a higher position, running a team of dudes. Okay. People look up to you. Or with your buddies, you're like the guy, you're like the man. You're charming, you're social, you're a fun guy to be around. But when it becomes a relationship with a woman, this is where it really taps into those deep, deep insecurities that you've been carrying for a long time. And this is when they rear their ugly head. Okay. So, like I wrote down here, it's like all of a sudden this needy switch turns on as soon as they get together with the girl. It really is like a switch. It's like they could behave this way with their buddies, but then over here, it's like all of a sudden they become very needy. They're not a leader. They're depending on her for every little emotional support. It's a weird thing, but it does happen. So how do you overcome this then? Okay, well, first of all, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, so if this burning sensation, this feeling of like that uncomfortable feeling that you guys might get if you're alone or with your thoughts happens, you gotta get comfortable just sitting there. And I know this sounds like very basic ass advice because in many ways it is. There's no magic pill. And a lot of guys, you know what? It's funny. A lot of guys will drink because this eases that inner pain, right? Or they are Mr. Busy every day of the week. It's packed with something. Got projects. They're an entrepreneur. They're starting businesses. They're doing this. They're doing that. Gym. Da da da. They never have one moment until their head hits the pillow where they're alone. And even then, a lot of times they're just going out finding girls to spend the night with because they just cannot be alone. So you got to get comfortable with that discomfort that's inside of you. Okay, that's the first thing. That's the first thing that you need to do. When you want to reach out to a girl for her validation, you got to stop that. You got to get comfortable with yourself first, okay? And this is something I'll be honest with you guys. When I was in my 20s, I felt this a lot. I was just yearning to be with someone to ease that feeling of loneliness. Not until I sat down and got comfortable just with that. There were nights where I remember just sitting there really uncomfortable by myself, like at home. And I had to just like let it pass. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to sit here, chill. Maybe I'll read a book, I'll do something, and get used to enjoying my own time. Once I could do that, that discomfort slowly melted away. And so when I interacted with women, or it could be with anybody for that matter, it wasn't from a place of neediness. It was from a place of like, hey, you're kind of a cool girl. Let's just hang out and chill and see what's up and have fun. I didn't need her around me. And they can sense that when you need them too much, okay? So like I wrote down here, you have to feel this and then sit with it without trying to soothe it by reaching out to get attention from women or whatever it is, okay? And until you can do this comfortably, you will most likely just keep staying in this cycle of feeling that discomfort, feeling that loneliness, and going back around and around in that cycle of neediness. And it's going to come off to the women that you're interacting with. And ultimately, you're going to turn women off who may have had a very strong initial attraction for you, okay? This happens a lot. A guy's really good at pickups, they're smooth, they're charming, they're getting the girls, and then it's like, again, that switch. It's like they go from Mr. Charming and confident to like, all of a sudden they're very needy. Where's she at? What's going on? I need to be with her. I'm feeling a bad day. Hey, baby, what are you doing? They're just constantly hitting her up and stuff like that. And, again, this might be a little extreme. Maybe you're not that extreme, okay? But there is that inner desire. So, of course, this message is for the guys who feel like they've been too needy. And you can tell you're being too needy if a woman tells you, I need some space, or, I just don't feel the chemistry anymore. These are code for you're smothering her You're too needy and you need to back off. Okay, if she says that, hey, I think we need to spend some time apart, or, I don't know if this is working out, chances are you need to back off and let her miss you. Don't chase after, don't try to fix it and see what's going on and be there for her and talk everything out. If she says, I need some space, okay, cool. And you might feel really uncomfortable for a while, but just go off, go do something else, let her have that space so she can miss you and come back to you. But you do need to dial in that needy behavior, because otherwise it's just going to repeat. And she's eventually, if she gets sick of it enough, she will exit the relationship. Okay, so again, once you can handle this and lose that neediness, you're going to see something very interesting happen. Women will gravitate towards you. There's something very attractive about a man who's just cool either way. You can come with, great, or I can go by myself, great. When you aren't trying to get them and lock them down, you accept them, you enjoy them, but you're not empty without them, that's the sweet spot, fellas. And this is what I want for you guys, okay? So do me a favor. Check out the Instagram, because there's a lot of good writing on there. Like I said, Miami Vice Life or The Sophisticated Scoundrel. 2, I have a free guide with my 12 characteristics that every man should have. It's called the Gentleman's Guide to Dropping Panties. The Gentleman's 12-point Guide to Dropping Panties. No, I know the name is kind of funny, but I want it to be charming and very scoundrel-esque. So you can grab that down below. It's a list with examples of how each of these traits should be used and thought of. Very useful for you to think about and actually start to embody, because if you do, you will see a difference in the way you interact with women in your life. All right, that does it for this video. I will see you in the next one.